Welcome. We are continuing the chase of the ancient wisdom. This chase is along Braham, Rishi, Vyas path, and urge is that we should reach at a research methodology. In the previous sessions, firstly, we had acquainted ourselves with the first basic foundational values format of enlightenment, the enlightenment path, the entire enlightenment format of the Creator Himself. Scriptures preserve that Creator, Lord Brahma, forehead Lord, the presiding deity of real force space, goes for meditation within cavity of his own heart at the seat of the transcendental Lord with an urge to gain transcendental grace, and by following this technique, Creator is blessed with the transcendental grace and Lord Brahma multiplies tenfold. As a result, Lord Brahma, as 10 Brahmas, go to the Shivlok, 5 space, and there happens a manifestation in the form of a creative boundary of the transcendental domain. 4 space, in the role of a domain in the initial phase and stage, transits and transforms into 4 space in the role of a creative boundary of a 5 space. The second learning phase of the research methodology has been that sadhakas have to approach this solar universe as an existence phenomena, as an integrated single reservoir of values, an entire existence phenomenon, an entire set of values of our solar universe as such ought to be taken, having been pooled and constituting a single reservoir, and as such the whole range of values of solar universe as a solar universe is to be approached as a single domain. Parallel to this single domain is the single integrated discipline of knowledge designated and known as Vedic knowledge. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be face to face with the organization format of Vedic knowledge, the knowledge, the way, this knowledge, the single reservoir parallel to the reservoir of the values of the solar universe, organized by Maharishi Vyas, has been through a pair of phases. The first phase has been that there shall be a transition and transformation for the 4 space to reach up till 6 space, and the second phase and stage has been that the sun, Surya, a 6 space body, is to be approached, is to be explored, is to be faced as a single domain, a 6 space domain, as a single set of values, a single reservoir which constitutes a knowledge domain. So the solar universe as an integrated domain gives rise to the parallel single domain of knowledge. So whole range of knowledge is to be approached as a single discipline. At present, we are accustomed to viewing the knowledge as a set of disciplines like physics, chemistry, mathematics, and so on. However, the Vedic knowledge, as has been organized by Braham Rishi Vyas, is a single domain. So there is a single domain of a knowledge with us. These values as such are then further organized as quadruple Vedas. Therefore, the phase at which we are at present is the phase to know as to how to approach this single domain, our solar universe, how our solar universe is to be approached. Here, the enlightenment as follows from the available Vedic literature is that this chase of the single domain, ancient wisdom as a single domain parallel to the solar universe, is being approached, and this chase is going to be with Satapatya Measuring Rod. Therefore, this third phase and stage of learning regarding research methodology of the ancient wisdom along Braham, Rishi, Vyas path is that this chase of the solar universe as a single integrated domain is to be chased along the format of a Satapatya Measuring Rod. So at first step we have to know how to meditate within a cavity of one's own heart and to have an enlightenment of the transcendental grace for the intelligence field to provide it a consciousness base. The second phase is that intelligence with the consciousness base is to be fulfilled with the transcendental values, and in terms of the consciousness base of intelligence fulfilled with the transcendental values is to provide us for the approach for the whole universe as a single domain. The third step now is that this single domain is to be approached in terms of a Satapatya Measuring Rod. Satapatya Measuring Rod is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6, the representative regular bodies of real 1 to 6 space. The approach to solar universe as an integrated single domain is to be approached in terms of a Satapatya Measuring Rod. Satapatya Measuring Rod is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6 being the representative regular bodies of real 1 to 6 space. For it, this approach of Satapatya Measuring Rod is of 6 steps, say of values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Parallel to these values are the geometric formats of 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, 4 space, 5 space and 6 space. These spaces as such lead us to 1 space content, 2 space content, 3 space content, 4 space content, 5 space content and 6 space content. This space content manifests as hypercube 1, the representative body of 1 space, H2 hypercube 2, the representative body of 2 space, H3 the representative body of 3 space, H4 the body of 4 space, H5 the body of 5 space and H6 the body of 6 space. Now this set of dimensional bodies of real 1 to 6 spaces together synthesize and constitute for us a Satapatya Measuring Rod. Satapatya Measuring Rod as such is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to hypercube 6. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel to the organization format features of Vedic knowledge as organized by Braham, Rishi, Vyas as quadruple Vedas is availing a format of a Satapatya Measuring Rod. Satapatya Measuring Rod is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6. Let us sit comfortably and let us approach the concept of Satapatya Measuring Rod. There are as many as 6 real spaces, 1 space to 6 space. Each space has its content. So one space having a 1 space content, 2 space is having 2 space content, and 6 space is having 6 space content. These contents manifest as domains. So these result into manifested bodies of the respective spaces. 1 space content manifests as 1 space body. Hypercube 1 is the representative regular body of 1 space, and sequentially we reach at hypercube 6 as a representative regular body of a 6 space. These 6 bodies, these 6-dimensional bodies together synthesize and constitute a measuring rod, and it is this measuring rod which is being availed for organization of Vedic knowledge, organization of a single reservoir of values parallel to the existence phenomenon of our solar universe. One may have a pause here and take note that in terms of numbers, we can visualize that this chase is going to be in terms of set of whole numbers 1 to 6. And further, we will see that these values range 1 to 6, and parallel to it the dimensional bodies are helping us conceive a situation of a manifestation, simultaneous manifestation of these bodies, and then we will be having our Satapatya Measuring Rod. The sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge also shall have a clear comprehension as a reach from earth to Surya, sun. So if we want to reach from earth to sun, Prithvi to Surya, then this chase is going to be a 6 steps long chase, and this chase is called a chase along the formats of Panch Mahabhut. The 5 bodies, the 5 elements, these are earth, water, fire, air, space, and sun. Therefore, the Satapatya Measuring Rod is of feature and values which can be comprehended in terms of numbers values range of 1 to 6, and in terms of the manifested creations of our solar universe as 5 basic elements known as Mahabhuts, Panch Mahabhut, 5 basic elements: Prithvi, Apa, Agni, Vayu, and Akash. And a step ahead is the setup of the sun. So reach from earth to sun is of 6 steps chase, and it is this 6 steps chase which is going to be along the Satapatya Measuring Rod. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge will sit comfortably and have a comprehensive view of this organization, which as such is of reach from this corner up till the middle, and also from the opposite end and reaching at the middle. This reach from end to the middle is of 6 steps. Therefore, the middle is being approached from both ends in terms of 6 steps. These 6 steps are of the formats of hypercubes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now hypercube 1 as such is a setup of the interval as a representative regular body of one space. This hypercube 1 takes us at next step to square as the representative regular body of a 2 space as hypercube 2. A step ahead we will be reaching at cube a representative regular body of 3 space hypercube 3. We are acquainted with interval, square and a cube. The Vedic systems extend a reach ahead for hypercube 4, hypercube 5 and hypercube 6 in continuity of the interval, square and a cube. The feature of these bodies as such is of 4 folds each, and apparently the first fold is the domain, here in the case a length, in this case as a area, here it is a volume, and head there are hypervolumes. Now the domain or a length is having a pair of endpoints. The area as a domain is having quadruple lines as a boundary lines. The volume as domain is having 6 surface plates. This is called a domain boundary setup of the hypercubes. In terms of these domain boundary components, we will reaching at the formulations which will help us have a raised to power 1 is to 2 b raised to power 0, and in case of area it will be a square is to 4 b raised to power 1. Step ahead it will be a cube is to 6 b square, and sequentially you can reach at a4 is to 8 b raised to power 3 and so on. Now these features as such will further help us appreciate that fixation of this boundary as such is going to be of 2 into 1 is equal to 2 coordinates. However, the fixation of boundary of the quadruple lines, boundary lines in case of hypercube 2 will give us 4 into 2 is equal to 8, ahead 6 into 3 18, 8 into 4 32, 50, 72 and so on. Now it is this feature which will help us further appreciate that reach from 2 to 8 as such can be seen as a reach from 2 to 2 plus 6, and ahead 18 will be 2 plus 6 plus 10. It is this feature of 2, 6, 10 and 14, 18, 22. These are the features in terms of which the Vedic systems organization is being chased. So chase along the Satapatya Measuring Rod is a chase along the formats of the hypercubes. Hypercubes 1 to 6 as a representative regular bodies of 1 space to 6 space are manifested bodies, and these manifested bodies hypercubes 1 to hypercube 6 are each are of 4 folds. These folds are designated as dimension fold, boundary fold, domain fold and origin fold. It is this feature which will further take us to the fixation of a boundary, then fixation of a dimensional frame and so on. So these features of individual components of Satapatya Measuring Rod, namely of hypercubes, the representative bodies of 1 space to 6 space, provide us a series, a series of series of the features which will ultimately are being availed for organization, and it is this organization which is also taking us to the organization format of Srimad Bhagavad Gita as well as of the format of the Sakal Rigved Samhita and Chark Samhita, and in fact the entire organization of the Vedic knowledge of Braham Rishi Ved Vyas Path is organization of a chase of the existence phenomenon of a solar universe along the Satapatya Measuring Rod. As such, these sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be face to face with the research methodology of the ancient wisdom, then at the first step the sadhakas have to follow the enlightenment path of Lord Brahma, Creator the Supreme. At second step, sadhakas have to approach the existence phenomenon of our solar universe as a single domain of reservoir of values, the values which are to, as a reservoir, will be taking us to the reservoir of the Vedic knowledge. So Vedic knowledge is a knowledge of values and features of our solar universe, and this reservoir of the values and feature of a solar universe is permitting chase in terms of a Satapatya Measuring Rod. Once this Satapatya Measuring Rod is available, then the step ahead is going to be as that we shall reach at a alphabet which is a Devanagari alphabet, and this Devanagari alphabet as such is to be settled as a manifested format of the values of this Satapatya Measuring Rod. And in terms of these values of Satapatya Measuring Rod, we will be in a position to transit and transform firstly from artifices of numbers as a Sankhya Nishtha to the dimensional frames of the geometric formats as a Yoga Nishtha, and then the Sankhya Nishtha and Yoga Nishtha as complementary and supplementary of each other have to be approached by carrying the sound frequencies in terms of the artifices of numbers and the dimensional frames along the Satapatya Measuring Rod. It is this feature of this Satapatya Measuring Rod which simultaneously as a complemented process of artifices of numbers and the dimensional frames provides us a format designated as a Panchmabhut, which at the fifth steps takes us to a space. It is this reach in terms of a Satapatya Measuring Rod by having a parallel complemented processing setup of the artifices of numbers and dimensional frames, and thereby there being a reach up till the fifth element, Akash Tattva. Now it is here where the geometries and artifices, so dimensional frames and artifices of numbers are unified, and these get potentialized to carry the frequencies of the sound, which is in terms of a shabd, words. So human voice, human mouth, articulated and regulated frequencies of the sound makes the words, the shabd. This reach of the organization format of the Vedic systems is transcending from the format of the artifices of numbers and of dimensional frame, which get unified along the format of a Satapatya Measuring Rod, give us the end reach up till the space element, the fifth element, and it is here where this unified feature of the artifices of numbers and dimensional frames along the format of a Satapatya Measuring Rod transits into of potentialities of a format for carrying the frequencies of the sound. The Vedic systems reach from artifices of numbers in complemented unified state with dimensional frames results into a format of potentialities to carry the frequencies of the sound. This phase and stage is the stage which takes us up till the Akash Tattva, the fifth element. Prithvi, Apa, Agni, Vayu are the first four elements, and the fifth element is Akash. This reach up till the fifth element is the reach up till the space. This reach up till the Akash Tattva results into complete unification of the artifices of numbers as Sankhya Nishtha and dimensional frames as a Yoga Nishtha. Sankhya Nishtha and Yoga Nishtha complement and supplement each other as there happens to be a unification of the artifices of numbers and the dimensional frames. It is this unification of the artifices of numbers and dimensional frame which results into transition and transformation for the manifested creations into the transcendental formats. Now, the intelligence which, because of the meditation along the meditation format of Creator himself, amounts to providing a consciousness format, consciousness base for the intelligence. Now, this consciousness base of the intelligence at phase and stage of complete unification of artifices of numbers and dimensional frame results into the features and values of the Akash Tattva. It is a fifth element and reach at the fifth element as a result of transition and transformation in terms of complementing and supplementing features of the artifices and numbers and geometric frames results into a transition. A transcendental transition happens for the manifested creations, and as a result thereof, the consciousness base of the intelligence gets fulfilled with the transcendental values. It is this phase and stage when the consciousness base of the intelligence gets fulfilled with the transcendental values, then the sadhakas get potentialized for being parallel to processing within Akash Tattva for a further fillip, further reach, further breakthrough to have a reach from the fifth element to a sixth element. This reach from the fifth element to the sixth element is a reach of format and features of transition and transformation for the sound frequencies into light frequencies. From Nad, sound, to Prakash, light. The sadhakas are fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel to the organization format features of the Vedic knowledge of the Braham Rishi Vyas path have to have a chase along the Satapatya Measuring Rod from the fifth element Akash Tattva to the sixth element is Surya. A reach from Akash to Surya is a reach from fifth element to a sixth element. It is a reach from the sound frequencies to the light frequencies, from Nad to a Prakash. As such, the research methodology of a chase along the Satapatya Measuring Rod is of features and values which has a starting point as a complementing and supplementing features of a Sankhya Nishtha, artifices of numbers, and a Yoga Nishtha, the dimensional frames. The starting point is a complemented and supplemented unified state of the artifices of numbers and dimensional frames. This as a starting point as an Akash Tattva amounts to a starting of the processing of the existence phenomenon of our solar universe along and in terms of sound frequencies. So this starting point of a chase along the Satapatya Measuring Rod, which takes from Akash Tattva to a Surya, from fifth element to sixth element, it has a starting point which is a sound frequencies format. As such, we have to be face to face with this transition as that the intelligence of the consciousness field fulfilled with the transcendental values potentializes the intelligence to proceed ahead of the artifices of numbers and dimensional frames in their unified state, having potentialities to proceed along the way the sound frequencies will process it out. Therefore, the processing from the artifices of numbers to the dimensional frames together in a unified state amounts to attainment of transition and transformation for availing the format of the processing steps of the sound frequencies. Starting point as it is going to be Akash Tattva, the fifth element, which is of a transcendental values, and these transcendental values will set the processing along the sound frequencies format. This starting point will in the process is going to be of the end reach value of the light frequencies. Transition from Nad to Prakash is the transition which is attainable by having a chase of the existence phenomenon of our solar universe along Satapatya Measuring Rod. This format of a Satapatya Measuring Rod at phase and stage of a reach from Akash Tattva, the fifth element, to the sixth element is of the features and values of attainment of transition and transformation for the sound frequencies format to a light frequencies format. Now, this reach from sound to light is a reach which has a Satapatya Measuring Rod format, and this Satapatya Measuring Rod format, as we know, is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6, the representative regular bodies of real 1 space to 6 space. Therefore, the reach in the Akash Tattva means a reach in a real 5 space, and it is from real 5 space as a starting point. The processing is going to be along the format of a Satapatya Measuring Rod to reach at a real 6 space. So reach from real 5 space to real 6 space along artifices of numbers is going to be from number value 5 to number value 6. Along the geometric formats, it is going to be from hypercube of 5, the representative regular body of 5 space, to hypercube 6, the representative regular body of a 6 space. Now, the unified state of artifices of value 5 and to the artifices of numbers value 6 on the one hand, and dimensional frame of 5 space to dimensional frame of 6 space on the other end. This unification of the artifices from value 5 to value 6 on the one hand, and from the format of hypercube 5 to hyper 6 on the other hand. It is this unification which is resulting into transition and transformation for Philip for a reach ahead from artifices and dimensional frames to the frequencies, to the sound frequencies and potentialities of its transition and transformation in the process up till the reach at the sixth element into a Surya. So from Akash to Surya, from fifth element to sixth element is going to be attained by initiating processing along the frequencies of sound, and thereby there is going to be a reach up till the frequencies of a light. Now this Nad to Prakash is not to be taken as from Dhvani to Prakash. Now Nad to Prakash inherently amounts to that we are going from Nad to Anahat Nad, the eternity features of the Nad, to the eternity features of the light. That means, in fact, this reach is going to be of inner transition and transformation of inherent features, taking from Nad to Jyoti. So this reach from Nad to Prakash as initial step is sequentially unfolding from within because of the compactified feature of the origins. Therefore, it is going to be a reach from Nad to Jyoti. Now, Nad to Jyoti reach will inherently of its own transit and transform into Anahat Nad to Brahma Jyoti. So Anahat Nad to Brahma Jyoti is the inner organization format feature of the Satapatya Measuring Rod, which is there because of hypercubes being a fourfold manifestation layers setups, and this manifestation layers setup is inherently of the potentiality of transition from the origin in twofold ways, upwards and inwards. It is this upward and inward transition and transformation in the form of a transcendence at the origin, which is of a higher dimensional order than that of the dimensional order of the domain. Therefore, this upward transition, transcendence, and inward transcendence both happening simultaneously and parallelly. It is this phase and stage, it is this reach which is to be fully imbibed. Sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be face to face with the organization format of Braham, Rishi, Vyas, Path. In the third phase, while having a chase along the Satapatya Measuring Rod, have to imbibe the features of the Satapatya Measuring Rod as a synthetic setup of hypercubes, being as fourfold manifestation layers of the features and inherent potentialities of transcendence at the origin. Transcendence at the origin is the phenomenon which is of upward and downward inward features parallelly, simultaneously happening. It is this reach, it is this comprehension, it is this imbibing, it is this attainment which is ultimately going to help the sadhakas to proceed ahead with the organization format features of the Brahma, Rishi, Vyas, Path for research of the ancient wisdom. And the emerging methodology would be that while the first step is that one shall follow the enlightenment path of the Creator, then to approach the existence phenomenon of a solar universe as a single integrated domain, and as this integrated domain is to be chased along the Satapatya Measuring Rod, which from fifth element to the sixth element is going to be of the features and of values and of the format of transition from the unified state of artifices of numbers and dimensional frames to the integrated format of processing steps along the frequencies. Now, sound frequencies to the light frequencies from Nad to Jyoti is to be attained. It is this attainment of the unified domain of transition and transformation for Nad into Jyoti, and in a reverse process Jyoti into Nad, which is going to be a confident step that one gets potentialized, one gets initialized. There is a proper initiation for the sadhakas that one can take steps ahead. And these steps ahead as such are going to be that the Vedic system's success to approach mathematics as values of the existence phenomenon as a speaking language. Therefore, the fourth step of the ancient wisdom research methodology of Braham, Rishi, Vyas path is going to be a chase from the Akash Tattva to Surya, from fifth element to the sixth element, as a processing domain of his frequencies, which in the process transit and provide a transcendence from within of outward and inward, and thereby there will happen a phase and stage of a reach from sixth space domain to the origin of a sixth space domain, which is a seat of the pole star. Therefore, with these three steps, when the fourth step will follow, then the fourth step of a reach from Nad to Jyoti, this attainment of its own inherently will potentialize the intelligence of the consciousness base fulfilled with the transcendental values, which will carry within sixth space domain up till the origin of a sixth space domain, up till the orb of the sun. So reach within sixth space domain up till origin of sixth space is going to be a reach up till a pole star. So this step from Surya to pole star is the step which in fact is going to be the Anusandhan Kshetra. The Anusandhan Kshetra, the research domain, it is this domain which is to be researched. It is this research of this domain from Surya to Dhruv, from sun to pole star, which is ultimately going to be the research domain with whose exploration, with whose research, parallel to the research methodology of the ancient wisdom of the Braham, Rishi, Vyas, that we hope we will be in a position to reconstruct and to revive the entire range of Vedic values, Vedic scriptures, which somehow have not reached us and for which we are urging to reconstruct and to revive. As such, the sadhakas shall sit comfortably and to be face to face with the three methodology steps up till this session having been visited, and thereafter in the next session, we'll be taking up the fourth step. We will be reaching the fourth phase of the research methodology of the ancient wisdom of the Braham, Rishi, Vyas, Path, and it is with this step, fourth step, we will be confronted with as to what is going to be Anusandhan Kshetra for us, research domain for us, and how we have to approach. Thank you very much.